The concept of company towns started during the Industrial Revolution. They were created to provide housing and infrastructure in a way that maximized profits for the companies, often stemming from economic greed. However, a few scholarly architects and visionaries saw the potential for company towns to improve the standard of living for the working class. This gave rise to utopian ideas in planning and quality of life. Some of these ideas included providing what we now consider basic living conditions, something that was far from guaranteed at the time. Thanks to these visionaries, many of the standards of living we enjoy today in the developed world were born. The concept of company towns has seen both highs and lows, and echoes of both can still be seen in our lives today. Company towns originated during the Industrial Revolution. They were born out of a desire to maximize profits from the working class. It was soon discovered that the quality of a worker's life had a direct impact on their productivity. To get the most out of their workers, companies realized that having them live closer to where they worked led to higher production, mainly because the workers were less tired from long commutes. This connection between living conditions and work output gave rise to socialist ideologies focused on workers' rights and overall quality of life. Living conditions during the Industrial Revolution were marked by overcrowding and poor amenities for the working class, often resulting in poor health and shorter lifespans. This had a direct impact on productivity, as workers were limited both in their output and in the time they could remain part of the workforce. Long commutes on foot and harsh living conditions led to a downturn in efficiency and, ultimately, company profits. In response, companies began to build worker accommodation, housing for workers and their families. By offering a higher quality of living, workers became more motivated and productive, working harder for the benefit of the company. Robert Owen, with whom New Lanark is most famously associated, was a successful Welsh industrialist. He gained significant experience in the textile industry while working in Lancashire. His extensive writings, mainly from his time at New Lanark and later at New Harmony in Indiana, highlight the importance of his contributions, as well as his philosophies on cooperation, education, and working conditions. Owen believed that a person's character is shaped by their environment, and that education, especially of children, was fundamental to that process. He felt that children could not be trained in good habits if they were forced to work in factories, so he abolished child labor at New Lanark. This was just one of many contributions he made to the working class. He provided a higher standard of living and health, introduced childcare for workers, and offered basic schooling under the principle that no child should be forced to work. Importantly, Owen reinvested profits back into the community to improve workers' living standards, showing his commitment to people over profit. In doing so, he created a model community. The Pullman Company town in Illinois was founded by George Pullman to offer a higher quality of living in exchange for what he believed would be a more stable and productive workforce. He provided workers with welfare programs, access to doctors, insurance, an excellent school system, athletic clubs, bands, and educational and social organizations. In its day, it was the largest company town in the United States. This model of improved living conditions was enjoyed by many and did contribute to a higher standard of life. However, the system was upended when Pullman slashed wages while maintaining the same high prices within the town. This highlights a troubling controversy. When one person holds total control over a town, any shift in priorities, whether financial or external, can lead to long-term hardship and generational debt for its residents. While leaving the town might seem like an option, it was often unfeasible. Most of the money earned by workers was spent within the town on rent, food, and other necessities. As a result, many workers found themselves trapped, leaving with the same or even less than they came in with. Canberra, in its formative years, was established as a company town for the nation, a new, remote city created to support the Parliament and its associated logistics. Many of the workers who arrived were public servants relocated from Melbourne and Sydney. Initially, they were offered accommodation in hostels and camps, followed by the development of public housing. All of this was built on the same principles seen in places like New Lanark or Pullman, accommodation owned and controlled by the government, with rent and rules set by the same entity that paid the workers' wages. Shops and social infrastructure were also originally provided by the government. Although Canberra has evolved over time, remnants of its origins as a company town remain. The presence of small businesses and independent workers exists, but ultimately, many are still here to support the public service. The city's growth is directly tied to this foundation. Even today, the divide in wages between private sector employees and government workers is evident, where once again, the company, in this case the government, is setting the price. Another Australian company town is the town of Wittenoom, Western Australia, which was operational until 1966. Wittenoom was the largest open asbestos mine in Australia. It housed all the workers and their families, providing a school, shops, accommodation, and amenities for those willing to work in such a remote area. People often reflect on the town fondly, remembering a high quality of life and a strong sense of community. However, from this town, over 1,200 residents died due to asbestos exposure, and the town is now uninhabitable. Despite the initially high living standards provided by the company, the health consequences of asbestos mining ultimately led to the town's collapse. Today, other mining towns in Australia still operate, extracting precious minerals and resources. One such town is Dampier, also in Western Australia. Founded in 1965 by Rio Tinto, Dampier has thrived thanks to the ongoing mining sector. For company workers, the town offers modern, subsidized housing, healthcare, schools, social and sporting clubs, creating a high quality of life. However, not everyone shares in this prosperity. Local businesses often struggle to find workers, unable to compete with mining wages. Rent prices are extremely high, and even basic necessities like food are more expensive than in major cities like Perth or Sydney. The divide between mining employees and non-employees is stark. Many workers feel tied to the company, not just for a job, but to maintain their place in the community. Changing careers often means leaving everything behind. These company towns, along with many others, such as the Royal Salt Works in Chaux, France by Claude Nicolas Ledoux, and Bourneville by the Quaker Cadbury family, helped shape modern society for the working class as we know it today. They laid the foundation for the higher standard of living we now consider commonplace, not just for the wealthy, but for everyone. These towns introduced early forms of healthcare, social clubs, and community support systems that continue to influence our lives. They also promoted education for all children, not just those born into wealth, helping to remove children from the workforce and instead place them into schools. Through the development of education systems and nurseries, we now have a modern schooling system that is accessible to all. These company towns inspired global shifts in thinking, sparking utopian visions, new ideas about planned communities, and reimagining how our social structures function. Company towns revolutionized living conditions for the working class and offer a framework for potential ways to improve their quality of life. These towns demonstrate how a utopian idea, where workers are supported with housing, healthcare, and community, can bring real benefits. However, they also reveal how quickly this vision can turn into a system of financial control, locking workers into lifelong dependence on the company. The benefits are clear, and if such a model is managed correctly, the positives can far outweigh the negatives. In the modern era, offering subsidized rent, childcare, and healthcare could greatly support the working class. But this must be managed by an organization or individual who truly prioritizes the well-being of the workers, not profit. Otherwise, the model can go terribly wrong.